Yeah. Okay, so we will have our managing director, Anne-Marie Van Swinderen, to come here to give us an opening remark. Then we will introduce you to our company L-IFT and to FINBIT, which is the technology developed by L-IFT. Then we will see this FINBIT technology in relation to humanitarian organizations and also other organizations. Then we have our special guest speaker, representative from Opportunity International, which is our long-term partner across a number of activities. And we also have our field staff here to give us their experiences on what it's like to be working with L-IFT. And then finally, we have this discussion session where you, our audiences, will be able to come in and reflect your ideas, questions, comments, suggestions. So on the next slide, we have some notes to see here. Please, everyone, make sure that you're muted the whole time. But whenever you have questions, comments, or suggestions, anything that comes into your mind, you can put them on the chat box here, just like you're doing it right now. Thank you very much for using this chat box. So if those questions that you're posing there can be answered right away, then we will answer them. But if they need like an elaboration, maybe they will be answered at the discussion session in the end. So please feel free, everyone, to start introducing yourselves on the chat box. Many people are doing it. Albino, Joshua, I'm seeing here that you're introducing yourself. Thank you. Please provide your name, where you're based, and if possible, also your LinkedIn profile links as well. So another thing is that we intend to also share your names and emails with all of you after the meeting. So if anyone maybe does not want us to do that for any reason at all, please let us know. Enjoy the presentation. So on the next slide, let's begin with our introductions. Let's please kindly start with Anne-Marie, and then the other speakers will follow. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Let me go through because I have one slide that I wanted to mention. So I'm extremely happy. There's a huge audience here. Our team has worked very hard getting in touch with all these important organizations because we feel that what we are doing is extremely useful and suitable for what your type of organizations are doing. In the presentations, you will learn that our approach is particularly useful to people in transition who are in fluctuating lives, in less stable situations, which is obviously what you're working on in humanitarian crisis and post-conflict situations. On this screen, just to give you an idea already of what we're going to talk about, is we don't consider us having one beneficiary or one organization doing things. It is very much an integrated process where everybody, all the stakeholders, both benefit and contribute to it. So as a humanitarian organization, you would be receiving data that you need and that you can use, and you will be able to contribute insights, your methodologies you're using already, and access to the right people. Very importantly, the refugees or displaced people or other people affected by humanitarian crisis, they will obviously benefit because they get a chance to get data, they get this data empowerment, but they contribute hugely to the process and they're part of it. And the third stakeholder that is very important is that the people who work to ensure that the data is collected, that people are able to report for their own purposes or for other purposes. And these people, they get very important work experience and they get a lot of training, they get skills that helps them to move into other jobs. But obviously they contribute huge amounts of effort and time and stuff like that. So I want to go back to the previous slide in which Frey will introduce our team.
All right, thank you, Anne-Marie. So we have Mihlalisi Nube, our project manager based in Zimbabwe. We have Haymanoti Beltal, our technology manager. We have Bemnet Jember, our communications and acquisitions officer. We have Henok Biazin, who's also our project manager based in Ethiopia. I myself am Freyot Sinishau. I'm a program coordinator and I'm based in Ethiopia. We have Adonai Nagash, our communications officer. We have Arsema Alamayo, who is our communications and acquisitions officer. And we have John Kamau, who is our data lead that is based in Kenya. And on the next slide, this is our guest speaker, Noah Simpeja from Opportunity International. He's the country lead for the Refugee Financial Inclusion Program in Uganda. Please stay tuned later to know what it is really like to use this technology, FINBIT, to know what it is really like to be working with L-IFT, and to know how this technology system is actually serving organizations. And on the next slide, we have our field team. Yes, our field staff, Rachel Ducio and Mibaraka Kamana. We will also have a look at their experiences later on. So Anne-Marie has given us the opening remarks. Now we will move on to Bemnet to tell us about FINBIT and humanitarian organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Frey. So let's first get it clear to you what specific humanitarian challenge we at L-IFT solve. So to take the example of refugees, let's say they arrive, but what these people were like before their arrival cannot be proven. So an individual may not be able to demonstrate their name or their date of birth. So it may just be her story about where she is from, what she did, what education she has, and what type of house or town she lived in. So she arrives without her community, and few others can vouch for her. So basically, these people are invisible and unknown. So they quickly need to start getting clear on who they are, what they do, and also what they know. So after arrival, this person needs help because she has nothing. So even someone highly educated or who run a business just needs support. Then she starts rebuilding her life. And of course, it will have its ups and downs. And some might do okay, some might do very well, and some may slide back to nothing. And most refugees have a very fluctuating lives. And let's say in August, the situation may be much better than in October. So situations can change fast and they're also dynamic. And you as a humanitarian aid organizations want data about these people. But getting reliable data is even more challenging than with other beneficiaries. And we heard from several of you that you mostly use questionnaires for your data. And questionnaires give slow results. And some of you told us that it takes a year before you have the findings. And by then, the situations may have changed a lot, and much of the findings will no longer be relevant. And with questionnaires, the respondents are quite passive and they just give answers. But what they find is important and it will be hard to hear. But with FINBIT and L-IFT, you won't have these challenges because we use repeat rounds of data collection. You get answers in weeks and people gradually learn what the questions mean and they can also observe and think about them. And it's a platform for them to make suggestions or for you to get into a discussion with some, and they can help you design your program in such a way that's most useful for them. And you can also do a follow-up, ask what people meant, and you can also choose new segmentations so that people invite others to participate. And now my colleagues will present to you how exactly we work, what benefits we provide you and your beneficiaries. Thank you.
Thank you, Bemnet, so much. Okay, I will now discuss on our history, L-IFT's and FINBIT's history, like about our past projects, the ones that we've done so far. So as you can see here on the map, we have this kind of a reach across the globe. So we've been active across in many countries in Africa and in some Asia and Latin America. So here, the ones that are in green colors are the countries where we are currently active in. And yeah, on the next slide, we can see, we will see like the projects that we've done in the past. So here on the slide, LIFT has worked, like we've done different projects for different purposes, for the purpose of research, product, and client satisfaction. But all in all, LIFT worked in 4 major themes. So first one is the youth one, on youth team. So we've done like several projects with youth and also about youth, maybe about their income, their jobs, and building their careers, etc. And on product development, we've helped like several microfinance institutions to actually design appropriate services for this underserved or for this disadvantaged people. And then the other team is the digital finance team, which is that we worked on many studies or interventions to actually make this digital finance to be more useful for the people. And we've also enabled different organizations to better listen their clients and also learn their customers or participants' experiences. So, and all of these teams that we've worked on, they're really relevant for refugees and for IDPs, for the internally displaced people as well. And on the next slide, we can have a look at some of our projects to see, just to give examples. So for instance, we've done like one project in not only Africa, but also in the other continents that we focused on micro businesses or refugees that also have this micro businesses. So we were studying how this businesses, how they were functioning, how they responded to hard living situations, how they were coping up with this. And we've also done this project in Uganda, focusing on refugee finance. So we were studying to understand this refugees so that we can be able to provide them with different types of financial services according to their needs. And then another example will be the World Bank's EPSNP project. So it was done in Ethiopia. And so World Bank supports this electronical transfer, cash transfers for this safety net people. So we were kind of assessing the financial capability of this recipients and also the satisfaction of this recipients. And then maybe the final one is the RCT program, or the randomized controlled trial that we had on savings commitment to enable refugees to adopt solar. So this project was all about really knowing the most effective way, or what are the most effective ways to actually encourage the refugees that we had to adopt this solar energy as an alternative energy source. So please, everyone, you can visit our website to know more about our projects, to know details about our project. Our colleague Adonai will be providing the website here on the chat box. You can use that. Now I will take you to Anne-Marie to tell us about our methodology, which is the Diaries methodology. Thank you. Anne-Marie, please.
Okay, so yes, LIFT stands for Low Income Financial Transformation. And from 2015, when we registered, when we incorporated, we have worked on many different diaries projects. So I'm sure you've heard about the word financial diaries or diaries in general. And in this slide, I want to explain in a little bit more detail what that really means. So the feature about diaries is very much, let me some people in. The feature is very much about repeat data reporting. So very, what we call it, high frequency time series. So over a year's time or half year or maybe multiple years, the same person keeps on reporting, usually on a weekly basis, about their income, about their expenditures, about any loans that they took, loans that they repaid, and about the hours they worked, savings they made, or accounts they used, etc. These are standard components of our technology, about which we talk later. So each week we have these repeat questions that everybody reports about. Now, on any project, You can also design additional repeat surveys. So you could ask people about how happy they are on a weekly basis, or you could ask them about whether they were able to eat 3 meals a day, or how many meals a day they were able to eat the last week. So you could also include questions, repeat questions about nutrition or something about health. So it would be very suitable for asking questions on pregnancy or on whether people applied for any job, or whether they did any innovation in their business, or what kind of business tasks they did. Now, on top of these type of repeat data, you can also design one-off surveys. So you can design a questionnaire that gives you information about the context of the people. So, so these occasional questionnaires or surveys, they are about the context of the people participating. So in case of an internally displaced person, you might want to have one questionnaire about where people came from, or a little bit later on, when you've built trust already, you can ask them about what caused them to leave their place of origin, or whether they're planning to return there, under what conditions they would return. So it enables you to both go in great detail and depth and day by day of somebody's life, and about the wider context, what kind of people are operating around them. So this way I presented it more about research. The other way to do a research or an experiment within a project, you can conduct diaries with a group of people, and then after 6 weeks, when they start to be used to it, you can start with an experiment on some people. So you can also call this A/B testing, or even almost call it a randomized controlled trial. When the experiment starts, you can, on a weekly basis, you can read how people experienced the experiment. If it's a training, whether they attended the training, whether they enjoyed the training, you know, what could be improved in the training. So you can keep on getting feedback about what you offer. And after you conduct the experiment, and the experiment can also be, you know, giving some information, giving links to providers or something. It can be a very small intervention. After the intervention ends, you can start observing if the group that got the intervention starts to become different from the group that didn't have the intervention. So you can start comparing them, but you can also start observing the dynamics. So you might be able to see when people start to implement what they learned at the training, or when they start to connect to the information that you offered them, or and you can see how the change is happening for them, and it might take longer than you expected, or might go shorter, might be shorter, etc. Then also the diaries gives you an opportunity to come back to people and ask them why they did certain things, why they answered certain things, why they thought about ABC in that positive or negative way. So it makes it possible for you to learn about people and reflect on it, and then you may realize, I've forgotten something, or this is very interesting, but I still need to understand more. And that is the type of that is what is not possible in a questionnaire. In a questionnaire, you design it, then you roll it out, you get the answers, and then very often you feel like, oh, I wish I had asked it in a different way, or I wish I had asked an additional question, or or maybe you wish the sequence of the questions was different. And so that is the very good thing about Diaries. It is very tolerant and it allows you to make mistakes and correct them. And as Faye already explained, we also use this approach for designing product, for co-designing with the users who are going to be using it. Maybe new financial services, but it may also be designing a project, designing a support mechanism, or together with participant making choices. What is more important to you than the other? Before you start a program, then you know that you spend your effort and your funds on the things that people welcome most. It's very participatory process. And we also notice that in other participatory processes, you need quite high level staff. And in this one, it is possible for everybody to learn this, because it gives you time to think about things. You don't have to think on the spot. You can reflect, you can ask another thing the next week and the next week. And on both sides, also the respondents are not stressed. They're very, they feel heard. They contemplate on what they said in 1 week, and will be able to say, oh, I made a mistake in what I said last week, and let me correct it. So it's very tolerant. And now, Heimanot, please tell us about the technology.
Thank you, Anne.
Oh, sorry, Arsema, you're going to tell us, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with FINBIT Technology, and then Heimanot will also be able to go deeper. Just to give you a brief introduction to FINBIT, L-IFT developed this powerful technology in 2018. It's a multi-purpose technology system for financial monitoring and data collection. And so far, we have more than 5 years of experience of using this technology. So FINBIT has 3 main components. We have the Android app. This is where users report their data. We have the console. This is where organizations would have access to. And this is where we design projects and control what users see. And we have the portal, which provides visualization. And on the next slide, I'm going to go a bit deeper into the Android app. So the Android app has 2 main components. There is the financial component and the survey component. And the financial component, this is where first users create an account. They register their income sources, loans if they have any, their saving accounts. They then can start reporting their transactions, such as their expenses, savings, or withdrawals. Then the most important part is that they'll be able to see their analysis and get summaries in the form of graphs, tables, and written reports. And we also have the survey component. This is where you can collect any type of data. It could be a one-time survey or it could be a recurring survey. And we can also use it to understand the financial behavior of users, collect demographic information, or any type of information that your organization might need. So next slide. So this is just to show you what the setup looks like. So this is what it looks like when users are first setting up their account in the Android app. So to indicate their income source, for instance, if it's agriculture, business, employment, as you can see, there are options there and they can easily select that. They can also set up their bank account and mobile money under the accounts. Loan and assets also works in similar ways. Users indicate the loans and assets that they have. So this is something that the users only have to do only once. And on the next slide, we have the report. This is where users will be able to report their transactions. As you can see, they can just put the total amount in the provided box of their income, expense, account, and loan. So it's very easy to use and very easy for users to also understand. And On this slide, so based on the report that I just talked about, FINBIT makes this type of analysis for its users in terms of line graphs, pie charts, and bar graph for its users. So it will help them visualize their financial behavior. So far, I've been talking about the Android aspect of FINBIT technology, and Haimanot will be taking you through the console and portal side. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Arsema. And Arsema mentioned one of the main components of FINBIT, Android app. The second main component is the console, in which basically people like you who are working in humanitarian organizations will be able to access on a web and try to basically design the projects or surveys that we have been mentioning about. This is where you will get the data from the field, and you can customize it in a way, in a lot of different ways you want, so that you can do maybe a lot of different experiments or a lot of different kind of monitoring. So you can adjust how the app looks, who should access to what kind, which kind of features, and so on. And once the data is coming, this is where the more important stuff is happening. You can see who's reporting, maybe if you are doing a project on improving financial literacy. So based on their reported income, who's improving their maybe revenue, or who's trying to save, who's not, things like this. You can see a lot of analysis, and based on those analysis, you can send recommendations and reminders for the beneficiaries you already have. And finally, in the end, you can also do a lot of different raw exports of the data, so that you can do further analysis for your project. And so far, this console is mainly used by these user organizations, but it can also be used by humanitarian organizations, government organizations, market research firms. So it has a lot of, it can serve a lot of different actors at the same time. Next slide. So this is the third main component, the portal. This is more about visualizations and insights for you as an organization about the data that's coming in. So it has two main components, an aggregate study and a case study level. So on the aggregate, you can see a lot of different, the results of your surveys and projects, and analysis about, anonymous analysis about the financial data that's coming in from the field. You can do a lot of different segmentations based on demographics or any kind of other kind of financial data to see what's going on and find out different patterns and interesting insights from the field, so that you can take actions and maybe implement a program. And the second main component is a case study, in which you go much more deeper into a specific individual in an anonymous form to see what is the financial livelihood that person is facing and things like that. Next slide. So this is just to show you how the sample picture of how the portal looks like. You can get a very clear and easy summary about some individuals' part of your beneficiary's livelihood. On the next picture, you can see on an aggregate level the kind of graphs and calculations we offer on the portal. And finally, you can also see, if you are a large organization implementing different programs across different regions, you can do a lot of this in-country and region comparisons, basically to help you understand how your project is going on and how it's being received in different areas. Finally, I would like to mention about one of our main goals is once people are reporting in their own phone, basically getting financial education, understanding about their finance. One of the main end goals we would like to do is use that data, do a lot of verifications and analysis, and connect them with financial service providers. So in order to do that, we have developed a loan platform that is basically a filtering system, in which people who are using our system on the app will basically be able to apply for a loan from their phone. And that application is sent to partner financial institutions who are working in that area. And they will get basically an easy system to see and then decide on basically giving a loan for a new client. So this is almost just complete around this time. So it can be available very soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hymanot, for sharing. I'm going to speak about the purpose and adaptation of these diaries. So firstly, a diaries system can serve many different organizations or financial service providers in a country. And it can do this to help an organization understand its customers and identify different segmentations. The data can be reviewed according to age, according to gender, geographic location, and so on. It can also be used to measure customer satisfaction to see whether clients or members of an organization are happy with the services that are being provided to them. And this can be done through surveys, for example, which can be implemented through the FINBIT. A diary system can also help in product development, where an organization can work with its customers and communicate with them to develop different products that can work better for them. Diaries can also be a communication channel with clients, where an organization can give advice, it can ask questions. This could be to entrepreneurs, it could be to farmers, it could be an organization working with refugees. So it can be, the technology can be a communication channel as well. Diaries can also actually be used to monitor loans. This is something that we're already doing at L-IFT, where, for example, if a financial service provider gives out a loan, they can actually monitor the data after it gives out the loan to see how a business is doing and how they're able to repay that loan. So it can also be used to monitor loans. It could actually also be a system to build the capacity for bank agents and credit officers. This is normally to young unemployed people who are hired and work as field researchers and are trained in FINBIT and how to use the technology, thereby getting skills that can be transferred to other jobs. So it can be a tool to increase the employability of young people. Next slide. In this slide, I'm going to share how you can incrementally build a diaries program. So firstly, you could start off with a small sample of financial diaries, say maybe with 100 people, 100 users or more. And then secondly, a business development services provider can also join with more members and can begin to offer their services, giving advice and training businesses. And then a value chain organization can also come in and add their own businesses and producers that they're working with, and can also provide services to this already large group. And once you have such a large group, it actually becomes worthwhile and it's attractive for a financial service provider to now actually provide their own services to this group and could be providing loans or other services. So a diary system can actually be a place where all these different organizations and actors who are doing different things can come together in one central platform and can work together in that platform. So the technology also allows for self-reported diaries, and we're really promoting this because it is a sustainable way to actually conduct financial diaries or other diaries for that matter. On this example, you can see one of our projects in South Africa, where we're working with 2,000 women micro-entrepreneurs. And these women are reporting themselves on their own phones from 4 different provinces across South Africa. So once users are actually reporting themselves, they are more active and directly involved in the Diaries project. And this allows for more learning and accurate data. It is also more scalable, as I have mentioned, as it is cost effective since users are actually reporting themselves. And this also promotes longer term use because they have the FINBIT on their own phones and they're entering data themselves. Next slide. So diaries are also useful in the data empowerment of businesses. This means that while the data is really useful for a client organization to understand its members or learn about them and so on, it is also useful for the end user themselves. It helps them to understand their own business. They're looking at their own data. And on the example there, you can actually see how a business would normally keep their records. This would be just on paper, just filling in their incomes, filling in their expenses, and having a paper-based recording system, like you can see there. But with the FINBIT, once users enter their data, they can immediately see an analysis of their data. This could be in different visuals. They can see pie charts, they can see bar graphs, and so on. So the data begins to speak to them now. They can actually see, oh, I'm spending a lot of my money on this particular area of the business, or now I should be spending it on a different area of the business. They can see loans that they have taken against their repayments. So seeing it in such a visual begins to speak to the user themselves, and they learn about their business and can now find ways to improve on it. And again, financial service providers can better serve businesses who actually have data. So once a bank or a credit giving institution can see that someone has data that has been gained from the FINBIT, they're able to look at how their business is, how that business is doing, and the type of loans that can be given to them. The data can also help governments to make policies and NGOs to develop appropriate programs for their constituents. So these are just a few examples of how you can actually use these diaries and adapt them to different scenarios, be it an organization is working with entrepreneurs, is working with farmers, is working with refugees, is working with young people, and so on. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So my colleagues have taken you through FINBIT and the kind of data that we collect and also the kind of methodology that we use. So I'll be taking you through the loan platform, but that my colleague Heyman mentioned, and showing you how it is we purposed for it to be used to gain access to financial access to our clients. So the respondents that we normally collect data from as a background, they have low income, and therefore that means that in most cases they don't have that visibility. And at the end of most studies that we've done, we give them their data in a USB stick, and some of them have reported back to us that they use the data to go and gain access to loans. And because of that, we were inspired to build the loan platform where they can just automatically ask for a loan and be able to gain those loans. So the loan platform is part of FINBIT. As Heyman mentioned, it's almost done. It's in the testing stages. And our respondents, once they have collected data for about 6 months up to a year, they request a loan to us, and while on the platform. And once they do, they give the criteria, the type of loan they need, and then they make that application. On the other side, we have partnerships with financial services providers. They upload their criteria. Of course, they have their own criteria they use for appraising loans in the past. And then they also give us the eligibility screening. Like for example, there's some FSPs that just require women, others require people from a specific geographic location or a specific criteria. So once that is automatically put in the loan platform, they'll only be able to gain access to the respondent or to the loan applicants who fulfill that criteria. So the loan platform is going to combine the demand and the supply side in that regard. And in the next slide, we show you that we have clients from various organizations. Some of them are from the youth organization, farmers and cooperatives, BSDs, and so many other types of organizations whose members are part of the FINBIT. And now using the loan platform, we connect the demand and the supply side. For the financial service providers, of course, the main advantage is that they are gaining access to a group of people who don't have a credit history, so they cannot use the traditional form of requesting for a credit history and then appraising them. So FINBIT data is complementary to the kind of appraisal they have, and they can go ahead and use that. And because of that, what we have now on the next slide, we have two forms of credit scoring that we are building. And these two methodologies are based. And let's go to the next slide. So one of the methodology, the first methodology, depends on the transactional data that we collect using FINBIT. Of course, we collect the transactional data such as income, expense, savings, and even loans that they have taken in the past. And this is now collected regularly using the Diaries methodology, and we create summary statistics for that and build the credit scoring using that data. And at the same time, FINBIT also collects some survey data. This survey data, they give a context where the business is. For example, we ask them questions about their customers, we ask them questions about the competition, the kind of business environment they have, sometimes even behavioral kind of data that tell us more about this business, how is it being run, and what kind of behavior does the owner have. Now, based on all this, we use machine learning models to build the scoring, and we hope to use this scoring complementary now to the bank's appraisal. And then the second methodology is specifically for agriculture. So we have partnered with a Dutch firm, which is called Scanop, and what they do, they specialize in credit scoring. So now building on top of what they have. So for farmers, what we know is that for the kind of farmers we have in our data, they also don't have that kind of loan history. So we ask them some few survey questions to get to understand how they run their business. Questions such as what kind of crops they grow, what kind of acreage they share those crops, and the location they are located in, depending on the country, of course. And then we also look for data. Now, this could be government data, could be organizational data about the prices, what are the price fluctuations within the country or the location, the yield levels of these crops, and so many other characteristics. And based on this, we build probability models using models like Monte Carlo simulations and simulate the cash flows, their future cash flows. And based on those cash flows, we can be able to associate a credit score based on that. And of course, one of the main advantages of this methodology is over and above estimating the cash flows, you can do a sensitivity analysis and be able to know if there are risk factors associated with the cash flows. What are these risk factors? What can we do to mitigate them? What can we do to de-risk the process? And what kind of product can we build so that the risk is minimal? And there are also additional benefits that cannot be attributed to this methodology. So those are the two methods we're using for credit scoring. And they are part of the loan platform. And they will be used to now give people that kind of visibility that they don't have. Of course, the clients that we currently handle. Yeah. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John, and thank you, colleagues, for your presentation. So now I'll talk about the functionalities of FINBIT. For individual users and organizations like you, this humanitarian aid organizations. So this technology has a wide range of benefits for individual users and organizations like you. So those benefits or functionalities are for individual users and group users at the left, and at the right for organizations like you. So for individual users or members of humanitarian aid organizations, youth organizations, FINBIT can be used as a record-keeping mechanism for their financial transactions as an individual or as a micro or small businesses, even as a saving groups. So they can easily report their financial transactions on it, and they can see their reports. On the other side, FINBIT is also a technology with a dashboard that users, individual users and group users can see the analysis of their finances and see what their financial results are. And they can even see their hourly income and even profits for different activities or different businesses. So it shows them their analysis of financial transactions in different forms. For instance, it has a visualization feature which shows graphs of different transactions in graphs. The other benefit or functionality is FINBIT can also used as a way to build up a financial and economic history for individual users or group users. And using this financial history or economic history, they can get access to loan or it can give them a chance to apply for other financial services. FINBIT also helps them to access loans. Currently, we are working to link FINBIT users with financial service providers. So these users or members or targets of humanitarian aid organizations with their credit history on it, and they can demonstrate their creditworthiness, their repayment capacity, and they can show their status to banks, microfinances, even credit saving and credit associations and other financial institutions. The other functionality is using FINBIT with these individuals or communities will get them to improve their financial literacy, because they will learn how they can calculate their profits, how they can see the cash flow of their businesses. They can even see where they are spending, as Malasi mentioned, how much they are spending on something. So through this, they can see their business activities, and they can decide or they can do well-informed financial decisions for their businesses. So these are among the benefits of the functionalities of FINBIT for individual users. But for humanitarian aid organizations and other organizations, FINBIT is also very important, and it has several functions. For instance, it helps these organizations to monitor project progresses. For instance, they can see how many people attended which training is, whether a training is provided properly, whether a program element is reached to the people on time or not. Again, FINBIT is also a good app that can help organizations to better understand their members or their clients or their target groups, and even the behavior of these members can be well understood through FINBIT. They can understand how their targets respond to a situation, how they are attempting to improve their lives, and even what priorities or needs that these members have within these organizations. FINBIT also can be used as a communication platform or a way of communication to their members. So through FINBIT, organizations can reach out their members or their target groups. For instance, they can announce events if there are some meetings. They can explain about certain activities, project activities, and they can even send out some training programs or training manuals. So the options for the types of communication that you as a humanitarian aid organization can do with FINBIT is endless. FINBIT can be also used as an online training channel where you can provide some audios, educational audios, and in some circumstances, some videos. And it can also remind about a training message. You can test the training's performance, how people remember about the training in the forms of quizzes. Again, FINBIT is also a good app to see participants' satisfaction of services by organizations. So FINBIT can also used as how to measure how participants thought about an activity, which part of the program they have liked or they disliked, or which was relevant and should be or could be applied for future. Again, FINBIT can be used as a good application for impact measurement. After providing trainings, we can measure the training results. So it can provide us with an impact measurement mechanism. On next slide, I can explain about how we can use FINBIT in projects, for instance, and within a skilled training for construction sector can be used in collaboration with FINBIT, for instance. In the recruitment process of project activities, FINBIT we can introduce record keeping for members when recruiting. Then the awareness raising task of a project can be monitored with FINBIT by evaluating the satisfaction of the participants. Again, after providing technical skills, we can also evaluate or assess the effectiveness of these technical skills. And we can also provide soft skill trainings using the communication channel of FINBIT and some tailored message. And we can also use it as a job matching platform for peer-to-peer exchange of channel. And we can also evaluate a project success as a post-project activity or follow-up activity with impact measurement. On the next slide, we can see that this is a fundamental activity or the fundamental functioning of some news organizations. They provide different services for long-term members, give trainings, awareness, raising tasks, and they can provide information. But in the next slide, I will explain about how we can merge FINBIT with the normal activity of these news organizations. For instance, for news organizations with long-term members, we can practice record keeping with members. And again, while providing different types of awareness raising tasks, we can measure what people are aware of, what they are not aware of, and even what they need to be aware. Again, after providing trainings, we can also monitor the effectiveness of the training, and we can measure the impact of the trainings that we have provided. So we can also keep track of our services through FINBIT, and we can charge them for some admin costs. And while providing information, we can use FINBIT as a digital channel for providing information. And again, the last importance of FINBIT is about access to loan. As Haimanot and Milarse have mentioned about it, FINBIT can be used as a mediator between financial service providers and such organizations like you and some user organizations to link between financial service providers, because we have data-driven decision using FINBIT. Then we can create access to loan services or access to finance services for members. These are some importances or functionalities of FINBIT. Thank you. Anne-Marie will provide the next section. Thank you. Anne, over to you.
Okay, I want to apologize that there's this little yellow line. I don't know how to remove it now. Just two sentences on this. So the DEEP is something we've developed for job creation and preparing people as entrepreneurs for their future careers. When people help us do the field work, they're learning a lot, they get very important field experience, they get skills that you cannot get in any other vocational training or university course. And we've seen many of our teams that they stream into becoming a mobile money agent or credit officer. Noah may be able to mention this as well when he speaks. So don't forget contacting us if you are working on preparing people, young people, for their future careers. Noah, should we unmute you?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix my video. It might not be so clear. And I'm deep in villages, so the network is not all that clear, but hope you can hear me and you can see me. So in case I get slow on the video, I'll definitely have to turn off the videos. So it's not so easy to speak when experts have, made great contributions, and it's always very, very tricky. And I'm so happy for, this opportunity from LIFT, our long-standing partners, to share the experience with you and what we've been doing with them over close to 4 years now. So I'm Noah Sempijas. They introduced me. I'm the country lead for the Opportunity Nationals Refugee Financial Inclusion Program in Uganda. And I'll start with probably context, because it's important for you, everyone, to understand how we got here, where we are, and how we got to LIFT. So in 2019, we decided that we wanted to deliver a financial inclusion program for the refugees in Uganda. You should note that Uganda currently hosts over 1.5 million refugees. And the biggest question that we had was, can we deliver financial services to the refugees? Can a refugee in Uganda open up a bank account? Can they take a loan? Can they do savings? Do they need, to attend trainings on how to manage their finances? So it's the biggest question we had. But just like when this presentation was starting, I think the first slide, one thing that was key was we all didn't know what to do. We didn't have enough information. And at that time, is when we contacted LIFT. And we asked them, you guys have a very nice solution of the financial diaries. Can we leverage on your technology and your solution to see if we can understand the financial needs of the refugees, but at the same time, also understand the financial behaviors of the refugees for us to be able to identify whether we can, first of all, work with them. And if we can work with them, then which solutions or products would we develop for them? And so, I remember I worked with the LIFT team from Ethiopia for close to 2 months in Uganda, trying to set up the financial diaries and the FINBIT in Uganda. And, it was quite exciting, seeing how we can gather the data, repeated data from the refugees, and also be able to understand exactly what they needed in terms of the products. And as a result of all the data that we gathered, we are able to work with our financial service providers, the banks, that's Opportunity Bank and Thinker, to develop products that are tailored to the needs of the refugees. Now, this is to say that with the financial diaries data, you are able to understand the real felt needs of the refugees in terms of access to financial services. What do they need? And then you develop programs or products that address those needs. And but we didn't stop there, because now we have the products. The next thing was, how do they consume the products? And we went back to LIFT. Like, okay, fine. Now we want to understand the financial behaviors of these people that we are designing the products for. How do they save? How often do they save? And when they save, how do they spend? Where do they put their money? Do they save under the mattress? Do they save in the savings box? Or do they use their money to drink alcohol or buy food? And because for us, this is key to be able to understand that the people we are designing products for are going to consume the products and they are going to change their lives. And so we now again engaged LIFT through the financial diaries and the FINBIT data. And we are able to see after 2 weeks how the refugees' lives were changing. You know, the most actually interesting thing, I think I've never shared this with the LIFT team. It was the question, always the first question, how do you feel this week? Because it helped us understand that the people we are working with are happy or that they are not happy. And we either needed to push a little bit more or not push, you know. And so we are able to know that actually when refugees get money, some save, and this how much they save, and some put into the bank. I mean, the savings boxes, others under the mattress. And this helped us design the appropriate trainings for them to be able, you know, financially trusted trainings, but also the appropriate, you know, savings and loan products that they are consuming now. Now, before I tell you what we learned specifically, I'm proud to share the numbers with you that, you know, since we started working with, with the support of the data, which I think is really has been important for us, we were able to develop products and specific to the needs of the refugees, but also we've been able to deliver, for example, 20 financially trusted trainings to 20,000 refugees. And this is tailored to what they want from the data and the findings we got through financial diaries and FINBIT. And we've been able to help up to 7,000 refugees open up bank accounts and save to a tune of, I'll say this in Ugandan shillings, I don't know, to have been in dollars, I think a tune of around 7 billion Ugandan shillings. That's around $2 million, I would say. And then we have been able to disperse loans to 3,000, I think, 3,600 refugees. Now, all this is possible because we've been able to leverage the data and the continued kind of feedback we get from FINBIT to be able to deliver all these services to the refugees. Now, what have we learned over time working with FINBIT? Because to me, this is really something that would be key for everyone to understand. One, we have learned that real-time data, and which is repeated because there is someone giving you data and it's for one time, but then the FINBIT and financial diaries data is repeated. We're able to see the trends over time. It helps all the financial institutions and corporate organizations working with refugees and any other people to understand the behaviors of the people that they are working with, be it financial, be it employment. But for us, it was financial. So we are able to know that if this refugee, like in this month, refugees have a lot of money and this is how they spend. And then in this month, they don't have money and this is how they behave when they don't have money. And if they come to apply for a loan, we know what kind of product to give them. We know whether we can say yes or no to their applications, depending on the data that we have. And I think this has been key for us to make the appropriate decisions on how we can design the products and support the people that we are supporting. But the other interesting thing, which has been on the FINBIT data mainly, is that it has helped us understand or develop a credit scoring for the beneficiaries that we're working with. You know, when data comes in most often, you know that it's like your bank statement, I would say, you know, the bank is able to know when this guy earns this money, this is how they spend it. And if we give them this amount of money, they are going to spend it appropriately. And it has helped the banks to make decisions on whether they should continue lending to refugees, whether they are going to make a loss or a profit. Whether they are risking their money when they lend to refugees or not. And of course, the conclusion here has been positive that refugees are actually using their money appropriately, and that's why the banks have been able to give all the loans that I've mentioned. But also, the other interesting thing that we've learned is that LIFT works very, very intensively within the local communities. And this not only offers an opportunity for the communities to tap into the jobs of data collection, to tap into capacity building opportunities, but also to create a sense of ownership and continue and gather continued feedback from the work and the partners that they are working with. Through Financial Diaries, we have seen that some of our our approaches in the communities at first were not appropriate, and because the respondents will tell us, no, when your field officers come, they don't talk to us well. And then we're like, okay, that's key. And then we had to sit back and we have to train our field officers to talk with the people that you're working with. And to us, that's key because the community is involved into making decisions over how they want to be approached and what they want. But also, FINBIT has hired people, refugees from within the settlements. And actually, I feel so proud, but at the same time, I think I was talking to Anne-Marie and I say, oh yeah, we have actually started fishing some of your researchers, and we are employing them and giving them, jobs at the bank and other projects. And I believe this is possible because LIFT goes to the community, identifies the potential, the potential candidates and train them for us, and then we are able to take them on. And I'm happy that they are really helping, the communities to get these jobs. And as I try to conclude this, the other thing I think which is key, which I might have mentioned, is that through the FINBIT, we are able to get the data that probably we would not get from anywhere else, because these are self-administered surveys. And if I'm feeling, if I'm answering a question by myself, I'm able to give you I would call it the intrinsic kind of feeling, the real feeling in me, other than when someone is interviewing me. Because if you are interviewing me, I'll tell you depending on how you've asked the question. If you are smiling, yeah, I'll be kind enough to tell you. If you're not smiling, I might not actually give you the right answer. But if I'm feeling it by myself, I'm like, yeah, I think this is right. And then there is also an opportunity that the respondents are able to correct the answers and think through whatever that they have answered. And I think I'm proud to say that we are able to get the real, we get data from the bottom of the hearts of the people that we are working with, and we believe you can't get this from anywhere else. And of course, and lastly, I've enjoyed the professionalism of the team. And like I mentioned, I worked with the LIFT team and of course the field officers for a good period. And these guys were new in the country and everything was new to them. But of course, whatever they were bringing was new to us at the same time. And how they were resilient and endured. I think one of them was Frey, who is on the call here. But also the fact that you can still work with someone for 4 years and they are still there. I think this is very, very great for kind of continuity. And there are lots of things that they are learning, and this really is a great job. So to round it off or to conclude, I would really say that our relationship with LIFT has really been one which is a success, and they have helped us to understand the people that we are working with. They have helped us to be able to design products that are really specific to the needs of the people, and they have helped us to move spaces. And when we're talking to the UN offices, to the government about our products, and they're like, how did you develop these products that every refugee is excited about? And at the bottom of my mind, I'm like, well, we did. We are at the face of all this, but LIFT actually did help us to get where we are. And we are now scaling to deliver financial services to other refugee settlements. We've constructed a bank in Nakivale. There is one in Kiryandongo. We are setting up one in Ramanja, and we continue to leverage the data and the feedback we are getting through LIFT and FINBIT. And I would really say, if any organization has a program for financial inclusion, job creation, I would really commend LIFT, because they are the guys that are doing the right thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Noah. They're really kind words. I really would like to get good discussions, but still there's some very important element in this presentation, which is our colleagues from Kiryandongo and Nakivale. We were worried about the internet connection, so they send us their videos beforehand, and I hope it will be visible and audible for you. Let me play it.
Based in Uganda, Nakivale Refugee Settlement. They have worked in LIFT since 2019, first as a field researcher for the Refugee Finance Project, then as a field supervisor for the Solar Adoption Project. Working with LIFT has been a unique experience for me. We had our intensive training physically for 3 to 4 days, where we learned everything we need to start the work, but the usual way after that was to do training on a bi-weekly basis at a distance, and monitoring the whole work was also done at a distance. We were continuously training, learning new things every time to prompt the work. Because of the graph, we are in touch with each other daily, and when you may not see each other, it is a very intensive, and you can build a warm bond with colleagues. It is a very precise, strict, but also very close and supportive. This continuous training, we did multiple time and communication during the day, help us to report when there are issues and get quick fix to ensure that we are indeed getting and submitting the right type of data, making sure quality data was uploaded. We lived, even after the first project ended, we were in contact with everyone. They were available to write and send recommendations to discuss on different topics with everyone.
Here comes Rachel. She's from South Sudan. Yeah, let's go ahead.
And based in Uganda in Kiryandongo settlement, I started working for LIFT in 2019, first as a field researcher for the Refugee Financial Project, then later as a field supervisor for the Solar Adoption Project. As Mibaraka has already explained how LIFT is different from other organizations, we had to work everything at a distance, and it was new to both us, the workers and the participants. We had to go to the same participants on a weekly basis to collect their financial data using FINBIT. These frequent visits to the participants made them actually feel that they are heard, hence creating a sense of togetherness. In addition, refugees who were participants were appreciating how FINBIT is helping them be aware of all their finances and know how to save for future. A good example for this we have is a participant who has a small business. With FINBIT, she was reporting both her personal and her business financial transactions. She did that for almost a year and built a financial history. On her own initiative, she took the financial history to FINCA to ask for a loan so as to grow her business. It is interesting to see how people are interested in their own financial lives and how they are striving to make informed decisions so as to make their lives better, especially for refugees. We as refugees arrive, we are unknown. With FINBIT, we quickly get rooted, be trusted, and with FINBIT, we start to understand ourselves.
Thank you very much. And I want to invite Frey to guide the discussions.
Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. Thank you, everyone, for the presentation. So we do have questions from the audience. Maybe I can go through them, I can read them, and then we will get to answer them. Okay. So our first question says that I'm from Ethiopia, or Bulbula Volunteer Help Center. Let's Feed Poor School Children fundraiser. So nowadays, food is a serious issue of the world. Life is getting worse as food prices are getting skyrocketing. Poor Africa children particularly school children who can't work are at risk of interrupting their school because of good. So in Ethiopia, many government primary schools are filled with poor children whose parents couldn't afford to feed them. So his question is, how can we support these children and family children? This is the first question.
Okay, let me take that. So we can support you as an organization to be efficient and to be effective. I think the example that you give here is that would really require quite some funding. So we could come in helping you to track who is needing more support and who is starting to become independent of the support, and to really understand what type of support will be most important and will be most cost effective. But obviously for funding, you would need an additional party to come in with money.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Shall we give Madra Peter from audience a chance to speak questions, or maybe shall we go on to the questions posted on the chat box first and then move on to?
Okay, there's just 7 minutes, so I think it is probably the easiest to hear everything if you would read out the questions from the chat box. We are going to answer all the questions that we received in the chat box. So if you still write new ones, please do. And then we can use the time more efficiently. And we will share with all of you by email the answers to everything.
Okay, great. Then another question will be is, do you have any interventions for returnees or IDPs, internally displaced peoples, and host communities?
Okay, so I think Noah answered that question quite well. Again, LIFT is not a sort of an independent solution. In the case of Opportunity International, it was in combination of 2 financial service providers, OBUL and FINCA, and a project fund to start setting up different interventions, including financial literacy. And we contributed very much the contact to the communities and the way of monitoring and giving information to the organizations to design their program in the right way. So somebody is asking about VSLA groups. John, would you like to share what we've done previously with VSLA groups, and that's a very important element in a lot of data collection?
Okay, yes, I was trying to unmute. Yes, we did study in 2019 on VSLA groups, comparing groups that were started 10 years earlier, and seeing this was in Mali and Uganda, and we wanted to see how are the groups continuing, what kind of are they still existing, and what kind of membership do they have, and those kind of details. And it was a very interesting study. So we do have some experience working with VSLA groups. And of course, the question also mentioned about working in hard to reach areas. And we do have experience working in areas where there are some issues. We even did part of the studies that we did in 2020 when there was COVID. We were able to quickly adapt our methodology switching to phone-based instead of the surveyor-based, and we were able to collect the data with minimal interruption. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the questions that has come in is about how reliable is the data, and is it because it's self-reported, is it credible for financial service providers? So maybe John, you would want to take this too.
Even though the data is self-reported, we have our own methodologies of ascertaining the truth value of the data. The first is that because now the data comes over a long period of time, we compare the inflows and outflows, because that's the characteristic of diaries data and financial diaries. And we can be able to identify anyone who is giving bogus data, because there will be an imbalance. So we consistently monitor the data that is coming in. And for this, we use manual methods. And since the data is long-term, we can be able to send queries using FINBIT and the surveyors, and then we're able to understand more about the data. And we also use automated queries where we go through the data quickly, and we're able to see all these outliers and so on. And the FINBIT also is able to upload some evidence in case we are not trusting. You can be able to upload some evidence, like a bank statement or a mobile phone statement, where we can be able to verify the data. So the data is very reliable.
So there's a question about, on the one hand, financial service providers accessing data and for us protecting people's personal identities and giving them their privacy. Would you like to talk about that, Heimanot?
All right. We, of course, believe the data that's been all entered in FINBIT is owned by the respondents. So everyone will own their own data. And only when they're applying for a loan is that their data of our analysis is being sent to the banks. So, and even with that, there might be some identified information that can be hidden. So it's always based on the people owning their data, and we take the security very seriously. So we do a lot of encryptions to store data separately on databases and things like that to make sure people's data are really secure and they feel confident using our services.
Okay. Mlali, are you here? There is a question about people who are illiterate or who don't have a phone, if they can still participate in this. They might have a simple phone, but not a smartphone. I can't find Melissa, so let me answer the question. So first of all, we are very inclusive. Any program will make sure that everybody can participate, and we find ways to do this in the most efficient form. So somebody who is illiterate, doesn't have phone abilities, they may never be able to report this on their own. We try to find a solution within their community. So maybe a neighbor or their grown-up child, or adolescent children can help. Many people don't have a smartphone. In that case, we install phone volunteers. So somebody from the community gets one phone, and in exchange for having this nice phone, they are obligated to support others to report in that phone. So on one phone, you could report with 100 or even more people. So the data volunteer will go to people who participate and sort of share the phone with them, so they can themselves enter their data, maybe on a weekly basis, but the phone volunteer can also help and support them a bit with the technology, or, if there's a transaction they're not sure, is this insurance or is this savings, so that that loan volunteer is sort of a coach as well for, the phone volunteer is a coach for helping people to fill out in the right way. We are out of time.
So maybe you can give the closing remarks.
Yeah, so Asama, maybe you can state that we will send all of you the access to the recording. We are proposing that we share your contact details per country, so that you could continue exchanging, and maybe you can form groups together to adopt FINBIT and find ways that we collaborate in different programs, implementing FINBIT and combining funding to be able to do it. So if you don't want your email or name to be shared with others, please send us a message within, like, by end of tomorrow. We will give everybody access to the recording, as said, and we will export the chat questions, and we will answer all the questions that you've posed in written form as well, and distribute that amongst all of you so that you have your questions attended to. I'm extremely happy with this huge attendance. Thank you for all the participants. It was wonderful. And there was such active engagement in the chat. I'm sorry that I couldn't let anybody speak loud and clear, but I think it might have really extended the time even in a bigger way. And I want to thank all my colleagues who did a very, very wonderful job presenting. Some of them prepared videos. That was really great effort. And our special guest, Noah, we're very grateful for your insightful contributions and actually your recommendations. Thank you all very, very much. I will keep it the line open for a little bit. Feel free to leave. And if you still want to add things to the chat, go ahead. Yeah, somebody's requesting me for recording. I have allowed you to record, but this is also recorded centrally. So, okay, I'll keep it open for 1 more minute and then we will close the meeting. Thank you so much for your attendance. Bye-bye. I'm going to close now. Thank you. Bye-bye.